How's it going, YouTube? op.poker James here. Before we start today's video, I wanted to go over a new module that we've added to our low stakes spin and go course. Before any of you people worry who have already bought it, this will be added on top for free, so you can get that as well. But anyone who hasn't purchased it yet, you'll get this new content alongside it. This module is called Crushing Passive Players, and in it we go over a complete pre-flop strategy that maximally exploits these player types. We also talk about how to identify a passive player and what kind of post-flop adjustments you can make to increase your win rate. If you have yet to check out our low stakes spin and go course, you can find more info in our website. Links in the description below. So in today's video, we're going to be playing some $5 spin and goes. Let's get loaded up. We've got a 2x multiplier to start with. On the $5 spin and goes, I would consider these to be the perfect entry point if you are coming into this game and you have the bankroll upon which to play spins. I would say this is the perfect limit to jump into. Now, the 25 cents, the $1 and the $2 are also limits that you can jump into for sure. But I would say the player types don't get much better throughout those limits, and I think it's from the $5 onwards where without basic fundamentals you can win, maybe even without these basic fundamentals. But once you've got that basic fundamentals, you can win directly from the fives without too much trouble. So this is the limit I would say you can get involved in without any experience with spin and goes. If you're just quickly learning, if you're going through some of our YouTube stuff, or you're on a Discord, or you're just chatting with other spin and go players, I think this is the limit to jump in at. But only if you got the bankroll for it. So what kind of bankroll, James, would you want here for these? I would say minimum of $1,000, somewhere in that region. Minimum 1,000. Yeah, I don't think there's any maximum. But the important thing to note is that we're going to win with the ace queen. We do. Nice. Heads up. The important thing to note with these spin and goes is it's a very high variance game. And a lot of people who are moving, let's say they've got the bankroll from other places, let's say MTTs, cash games, or just this is the money they wanted to invest in the game. The swings are big. So if you haven't got that amount, which I know a lot of people don't when they get into poker, investing $1,000 into a new game isn't the best or standard thing to do, I would say, in most instances. With poker, I think it is a good idea. For example, I did my $30 to 30k challenge. The first 6 months of it were to get from $30 to that 1k. That took a long time. So if you can at any point avoid that's great. If you can't, it's okay. It still can be a useful learning experience for you, learning to move up and down stakes depending on bankroll. But yeah, if you got 1,000, preferably $1,500, you can jump straight in at the fives. Otherwise, I would recommend playing lower stakes. We do have a bankroll management article over on our website. I'll make sure a link is down in the description below if you want to check out that. I went through how I look at bankroll management in spin and goes. I looked at whether I'm needing to cash out or not, whether I'm looking at it as a hobby, and all these different things. That was my thought process. So here I'm raising the limp with queen 6 off. I wouldn't say that's a standard play as according to the charts that we got in the low stakes spin and go course. I have spent the last while learning a completely different pre-flop strategy for higher stakes, and my mind is just like basically forgetting what I learned. There's only so much that I can hold in my brain, and apparently with that queen 6 that came out when I wouldn't normally do that at this stakes. There are specific types of hands that I would recommend to ISO, and in the low stakes spin and go course, there are charts to just show these are the ones you want to do it with, and it makes sure you do it with the right frequency. Now, at higher stakes, this is different, especially when you're playing good players. These ranges are changing, and I've learnt those, and I've clearly forgotten the old ones. So I wouldn't call it a mistake, but yeah, I am going to be playing different pre-flop to how I used to in these videos. It's not going to be that different. If you're looking at it from a perspective of you bought the low stakes spin and go course, I would definitely recommend sticking with those charts if you're playing anything between the $1 and the $25 limit. If you're playing higher, then you're going to have to look at narrowing the ranges a bit, because you're not up against people that you can, number one, destroy post flop, but also they aren't free betting you, they aren't raising your limps, they aren't putting you under much pressure. So that's why you have to change the ranges. But yeah, on these $5 spins, you shouldn't be put under too much pressure that often. And if you are, that player type is nearly always a maniac, and maniacs are pretty easy to deal with in that you just wait for a strong hand and you win their stack. We're going for a raise here with our gut shot, Jack 9. This is not a great turn card to bet too many extra things. You could, but I think that you won't get through too often. When they called your check raise on the flop, they're going to have a pair or a flush draw or something of that nature. When the turn pairs up the 8, you don't really check raise that many 8s, but our opponent could bet call plenty of 8s. So yeah, it's not great for us. I'm just going to give up completely with the Jack 9. I would suggest to keep things simple when you're playing low stakes. I would always just keep it nice and simple. If you don't know what to do in a hand, try and think of the least fancy basic play and then mark it to talk about later. Okay, so in that case, I check raise the flop and then we give up on the turn. If you did it like that, but you wanted to check with other people, including professionals, then you could record the hand history and share it with other people, and they could say to you, what kind of hands would you want to continue bluffing here? Because there are some things that you could continue to bluff there. Jack 9 of spades, I guess, is one of them. But I think flush draws are going to be doing better as continuing the bluff. Anyway, kings, we have been trapping them. They did pretty nicely. Did pretty well there. Yeah, so we limped. They raised us and we called. We didn't re-raise our limp. If I had, they would have called off with King Jack anyway, so it didn't change too much. But if they were ever bluffing our limp, we want to keep those hands in the pot because kings is a very strong hand. Not many runouts where we'd want to fold there. So can we finish them off? Oh dear, we need a 4. Nope. I've managed to get back in somehow. Gonna fold bottom of our range. Jack 9, we're gonna limp and fold. So this opponent is being fairly aggressive actually. So far they've been raising our limps, barreling, stacking off. They're definitely on the more maniacal side of things. I think on the low stakes games you're going to find plenty of maniacs, plenty of face up players, and plenty of passive players. And as I said earlier in this video, the newest module that we did is on those passive players and exploiting those people. When it comes to the aggressive people, sticking to the pre-flop charts is nearly always going to be a good idea, because their over-aggression is going to get them into trouble. We don't need to get more aggressive or less aggressive to react to that. We don't need to counter it too much, because they're overplaying plenty of hands. Okay, we got Queen 7 against Jack 8 off. Can we hold? Yes, we can. Nice. Just got to finish him off now. We're live at least. 10 or a 6. Nope. So it's really hard to get some playable hands at 7 big blinds deep. Especially against someone who's raising their limps at a decent rate. You just have to fold, and then you've got a few pocket pair traps to go with it. But yeah, so far they've been very aggro against our limps. We finally get one through, 7-9, and we hit 2 pair. So hopefully they're aggressive post flop instead. Nope. That's a shame. Ace 7. Here we go. They got King 8. Fairly standard from both parties, but we do take it down. Awesome. Right, let's go again. Let's get another game going. We've got the same player as before. So we got someone that we think is on the more aggressive side of things. And then we got another player I don't know. It's another 2x multiplier. One thing you will notice, especially on low stakes spin and goes, is people play differently depending on the multiplier. You see people get way more aggressive when they're only playing for $10. And then if you're playing for $25, maybe they get a bit more scared money. And then if you play for $50, even more scared. If they play for $500, then they get really scared. Okay, so ace 10, we're up against a non-all-in free bet. We're going to flat call this. We could shove, we could fold. If you've got pre-flop charts, I would recommend sticking to those. I'm pretty okay with taking it to a flop against the opposition because I'm fairly confident that there are certain boards, i.e. this one, that I can play for stacks, and there are others that I really don't want to play for stacks. So yeah, we've got Jack 5. I don't think that's actually the worst hand to use as a bluff for from our opponent, which is interesting. But yeah, it worked out in our favor there. In that spot, it's best to use the population tendencies that you can get that have been used for pre-flop charts. I'm not aware of too many other charts outside of our own for low stakes spin and goes, but I'm sure plenty of stables and the like have them as well. Just to explain to you how I made the pre-flop charts, when I did the Bankroll challenge to go from $30 to 30k, I played plenty of low stakes spin and goes. With those hand histories, I looked through the population and how often they were free betting, how often they were raising limps, and then used that to recreate a pre-flop plan, looking at how they played. So one way you can do that is by node locking in a solver. That's not actually how I did it. I did look at it and then make reference to the playability of hands, and I would say there's been plenty of people having success playing these low stakes with the charts. The one weakness that I felt with universal charts for low stakes was that against one specific player type, those passive players, we were missing out on some value. So I'm really glad that we've got this new module out on dealing with passive players. In it, we've got 7 new extra pre-flop charts to learn, and we talk about how to identify a passive player, and we really go through the kind of exploits you can make against them, because those are the people you can make a lot of chips from, more so than any other opponent. Ace 3, we get unfortunate, so we're playing heads up again against the same opponent. Pretty rare that this happens on $5 spins. Normally the player pool is too big to see the same person again. But we must have clicked the register button exactly the same time. King 6, we're going to just let it go. We get to play a bit deeper against them. So we get to limp trap, hopefully. The ace 9 doesn't work out. We could try and go to showdown with our hand. I think that's what I'll do. I'll call one bet unless they make it 50 chips or more. Unfortunately, they hit the deuce on the river for us. 6-8. We go for a raise. Again, it's better to learn to pre-flop charts how often you want to raise. Interesting that they have gone for the limp trap idea. It was clearly a limp trap because they immediately jammed when we raised. So maybe we're playing one of those rare regs on the $5 stakes. King board, I like to bet this quite often. We get loads more folds than we probably should. The fast check back. Do we go for the bluff? Do we go for the bluff? I'll leave it. I'll leave it. Okay, now I want to bluff. Question is, what kind of sizing do we use? I want to represent a straight or a flush, so we're going to go with the over bet. And it works. Works nicely. I just think that our opponent is very rare to check back a flush draw or a straight draw for 2 streets. Especially someone who I think has been quite aggressive so far. I think they're going to be aggressive with their draws. Wow, they're really going for it. We just need those kings again. That's how we won last time, right? That's how we got most of the chips. Six, 5. Let's raise it up.
Want a cookie?
We're getting follows. Not even streaming. Pocket 4s. See a flop. Okay. Gonna check that back. We're trying to get to showdown with the 4s. It's not really a hand that can deal with much pressure, I would say. So I'm not going to call this. Deuces. I think it's just going to be better to shove this outright. We've been flipping against nearly every combination of hands that raise our limp, so not worth it. 7-3. We've hit a pair. Going to try to get to showdown with it, especially now that we've hit 2 pair. My intention is to raise if we face it. It doesn't work out. We're going to hope that our opponent has an ace or wants to rep the ace. They're both fine to me. You can have an ace or rep an ace. Let's see what they had. They had Jack 9, so they didn't even try and bluff on that river, which is surprising to me, given how I've felt they've been quite aggressive thus far. Maybe they're just aggressive pre-flop and they don't know how to be aggressive post-flop. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, they're really going at our limps. Luckily, we've got plenty of limp traps in our overall range. That's one of the beauties of learning a pre-flop strategy based on charts, is that you know you are balanced. So even though, unfortunately, I'm getting all this kind of stuff that's just constantly having to fold, most of the time we would have limped trapped this player by now. They're just doing a lot of shoving right now. I'm still going to limp. I think it's okay to check this hand behind as well. Okay, they went for the call. We've got a gut shot now on the turn. I'm going to say that to my opponent that I'm willing to put the rest of my chips in. I'm not. I've only got a gut shot, but that was the purpose of the bet. On the river, my opponent can have a 7, my opponent can have a 10, my opponent can have a jack. I am not going to try and get those types of hands to fold. I don't think it's a good idea to bluff now. The turn was the point upon which I was trying to say I had a strong hand. So they had a straight. We managed not to lose our entire stack at least. So hopefully we can get back into this with King Jack. Woof. Nice. Okay. Okay, finally. Finally we got a strong one. And we hit the set. Now we just got to end it. Come on. He's down to 2 big blinds. Oh my god, he folded. We got jacks. Oh, knew my hand. Can we finish him off? 2 for 2 would be nice. 7 on the river. Always coming 7. This limp at 3 big blinds seems very suspicious. That seems very suspicious. Given how they've been playing, it's very suspicious. But we're like very high up on our range. Like we're calling a 10 big blinds right there. So I'm not even going to bother making a note. It's just just funny. 4.6 big blinds. We got 9-7 suited. This is close, I think, against an aggressive opponent like them. I think we can call, especially as they did limp trap. The really nutted hand that is aces. Doesn't work out in our favor. They've come right back in this. It's upsetting. Okay, we're calling this one off. King 5 against ace jack. Damn. Can we... Oh, okay. This is a proper swings and roundabout game. Let's finish him off. Nice. Not nice. One of the worst hands we're shoving at this stacked set, but it gets through. Very nice. Queen 5 against King 4. I mean, at least we're live. We're very live now. We need a club or a 9. A 9 will do. Nice. 2 for 2. Good stuff. I think that's a good time to end this video. Yeah, main purpose for today's video is I just wanted to let you know that we do have a new module that's out for crushing those passive player types. I was hoping that we'd run into some today. We only got that one maniac, but I'm sure there are plenty of instances where you guys are playing spin and goes and you're up against these passive opponents, especially on the micro stakes and the low stakes. They're a very large portion of the player pool. So I hope this new module will help you all. If you have any questions on it, please come over to our Discord channel. Spin General is the best place to ask about that. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks everyone for watching.